Born July 1st, 1961, Diana Spencer was the daughter of Edward John Spencer and Frances Ruth Burke Roche. As a child, she was shy but developed a love for music and dance. She had an aristocratic upbringing, becoming Lady Diana after her father inherited the title of Earl Spencer in 1975. So she was in the royal scene, and it would make sense that eventually she would go on to date someone in that family. Now, Diana met Prince Charles in 1977, and she actually met him because he was dating her older sister, Sarah. Although he's 13 years older than her, he took interest in her as a potential bride. Charles was usually the subject of media attention, and his courtship of Diana was no exception. We talked about the British tabloids before in my podcast episode about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, and they can be brutal. I mean, they can be total savages, and they are really invested in the royal family. So when he started going off with Diana, everybody was talking about it. The press and the public were fascinated by this seemingly odd couple, the reserved, garden-loving prince and the shy young woman with an interest in fashion and popular culture. Now, Charles and Diana had only been dating for a few months when he proposed to her, so she was surprised when he asked her to marry her because she initially thought it was a joke. She was not prepared to go off and marry this man, but he was ready. Now, Prince Charles and Diana made headlines during a television interview following their engagement when Charles was asked if they were in love. Diane responded, "Of course," while Charles added, "Whatever in love means," adding the phrase "in love is open to your own interpretation." Kind of a red flag to see from a couple who had just gotten engaged. I mean, he's saying, like, I guess we're in love, whatever love means. I mean, I would be so offended if I were her. And you guys can tell by her expression that she was hurt in that moment, and there was no hiding it. So pay close attention.
Normally, the clip cuts when he says whatever in love means.
But in this recently unearthed extended clip, you can see the full force of Diana's reaction.
Whatever in love means.
Well, it obviously
put your own interpretation.
Obviously means two very happy people.
Yes.
Once again, congratulations.
Well, from us, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Very kind.
I mean, you guys could tell the expression on her face in that moment. She realized that she just signed up for a marriage with a man that wasn't going to have that unconditional love that she probably hoped was currently in their relationship, but it was a little bit too late.
I've never seen her show so clearly her dissatisfaction with him on camera before. It's a most remarkable piece of footage.
The silence between the two of them hangs terribly heavily.
You can actually see the light go out behind her eyes. She felt almost her world collapse.
So that was incredibly awkward, and the entire world witnessed it. Those interviews were back in 1992. Diana claimed that she had met Charles only 13 times before they became engaged, but Diana eventually moved up the road to Buckingham Palace, where she was given a relatively small suite of rooms on a nursery floor. Now, Diana claims this was a depressing experience for her. She quickly began to feel bored, lonely, and isolated. She spent most of her time alone, as Charles was often away and his family paid her very little attention, assuming that she would quickly adapt to their ways and not realizing that she was in desperate need of guidance and support. She became engaged to this man after, several handfuls of times meeting him. I don't think they had extended periods of time together before getting engaged, and now she's got royal family responsibilities without really understanding what that entails, which it seems really lonely. Now I want to introduce you guys to someone named Camilla. She's actually Queen Camilla, and she's currently married to Prince Charles, but she's been around ever since Diana was in the picture. Now Camilla ran in the same inner circle as Prince Charles and Princess Diana. It actually turns out later on that there is an affair, but I don't want to get too ahead of everything. Granted, Diana knew that Camilla was a threat, and even right before their wedding, her soon-to-be husband, was doing some sketchy things with this Camilla. I mean, if you want to go and be with Camilla, then go and be with Camilla. That's pretty much what Diana said, because she found out that Prince Charles was planning a private lunch to say goodbye to Camilla 2 days before their wedding. Diana became so upset that she threatened to call off the wedding. And even though Diana wanted to cancel, she knew she couldn't, because even her sister told her, your face is on the tea towels. Like, this is your wedding. It is done. It is a production. But it's kind of gross that her man wanted to have, one last rodeo with the girl that he had been interested in before he got married. There was a lot of stress that Diana was going through, and months before her wedding, she was struggling with bulimia, which is an eating disorder, and a lot of it had to deal with the pressures of her new position in the royal family. It also stemmed from the unease she felt about the relationship between her fiancé and Camilla. Princess Diana would later open up about her depression and disorders in a famous BBC interview. Her honesty captured the hearts of everyone across the world, and that's why people love Princess Diana so much, because she's relatable and she's human. The royal family tries to act like they're anything but human, but sometimes that's the strength.
When no one listens to you, or you feel no one's listening to you, all sorts of things start to happen. For instance, you have so much pain inside yourself that you try and hurt yourself on the outside because you want help. So, yes, I did inflict upon myself. I didn't like myself.
I feel like nowadays, watching this interview, we're like, hell yeah, speak your truth. But back then, this did not happen, especially when it came to someone involved in the royal family. It's just not up to code. It's so against what the king and the queen would want for their family. So Princess Diana really went out on a limb by going out and sharing what she had been going through with her mental health, and really starting the trajectory of this new age that we're living in, where people do respect what mental health means.
You fill your stomach up 4 or 5 times a day, some do it more, and it gives you a feeling of comfort. It's like having a pair of arms around you, but it's temporary. Then you're disgusted at the bloatedness of your stomach, and then you bring it all up again.
Even though Princess Diana saw all the red flags, she couldn't help but to go through with this wedding, because it seemed like all the cards were laid out and she really had no other choice. The royal ceremony was broadcasted on television around the world. Nearly 1 billion people from 74 different countries tuned in.
A kiss, which receives a roar of approval from the crowd, who called the couple back and back again onto the balcony.
Now, Princess Diana and Prince Charles had 2 sons together, Prince William and Prince Harry. In January 1982, Diana shared that 12 weeks into her pregnancy with William, she deliberately threw herself down the stairs at one of the royal homes because she was feeling so despondent and inadequate in her marriage to Charles. So she was trying to harm the future prince and herself because she was so unhappy in her marriage, and they were just on their first child. So right away, this marriage was destined to fail. Diana experienced postpartum depression after her pregnancy with William and found the intense media attention surrounding her pregnancy difficult to bear. In 1983, William was 9 months old, and Diana could not bear to part with him during a planned 6-week tour of Australia and New Zealand. So she broke royal tradition and brought the baby along with her. Although the decision drew some criticism, the appearance of Diana and the baby on tour was largely applauded by the public, and honestly, it sounds like a sleigh.
Then I was unwell with postnatal depression, which no one ever discusses postnatal depression. You have to read about it afterwards, and that in itself was a bit of a difficult time.
Diana is right. We don't talk about postnatal depression. Maybe we do nowadays a little bit more. I mean, social media has completely changed what we consume, but back then it was not a topic we discussed. And it's something that is very real for mothers who give birth and they're not mentally doing great after. And there's a condition for it. And we need to learn about what that means.
You'd wake up in the morning feeling you didn't want to get out of bed. You felt misunderstood, and just very, very low in yourself.
What was the family's reaction to your postnatal depression?
Well, maybe I was the first person ever to be in this family who ever had a depression or was ever openly tearful. And obviously that was daunting, because if you've never seen it before, how do you support it?
Now, I do think Diana's being a little bit shady here, but I also think she's being straight up honest. I mean, I think that the royal family probably does act like they don't have any mental health issues. They probably do have some narcissistic tendencies. I mean, they think that they are elite royal people chosen by God. Really? No disrespect to, the UK and their traditions and what they believe in, but, at the same time, we're all just people, and that's what Diana is showing us.
What effect did the depression have on your marriage?
Well, it gave everybody a wonderful new label. It's Diana's unstable and Diana's mentally imbalanced. And unfortunately, that seems to have stuck on and off over the years.
Diana said her relationship with Prince Charles was the closest we've ever been during her pregnancy with Harry. Charles had hoped their second child would be a girl, but when Diana learned that it would be a boy, she kept it from Prince Charles so that they would keep this kind of honeymoon phase going, because Charles was so happy that she was pregnant, thinking that she was going to have a girl. When Harry was born, Prince Charles' first words were, "Oh God, it's a boy," and Diana was so hurt. She said in that moment she knew their marriage had gone down the drain.
And even before the wedding, Diana had serious doubts, and so did Charles. Charles's friends, his close friends, warned him, "This is not going to work, Charles. She's too young, she's too naive, and you're an imaginary prince. She doesn't know you at all."
Thank you for watching this clip from the Let's Get Into It podcast. To view the full episode, visit the link listed below.